$700 from Mopar or $150 on Amazon? Which is better? Let's talk about it. Hey, welcome back to Integrity Off-Road. My name is Matt. Today we are going to be installing the hinge reinforcement kit onto my JL Wrangler. All right, so here in front of me is that kit from Amazon for that hinge reinforcement. Now, inside of the box, it comes with the actual hinge reinforcement in itself. And comparing this to the Mopar brand, it is actually very, very similar to that of Mopar. In fact, at first glance, I can't even really tell a difference. It's the same build material. And I don't want to say it's the same build quality because I haven't physically tested it yet. However, I have checked out some reviews on it, and all of the reviews that I've seen on Amazon and YouTube have been absolutely positive on this. And look, it even comes with the little recess spot for the Jeep Performance Parts badge, which I'm actually really impressed with that. Over here to my right, inside of the kit, it comes with 2 bump stop extensions. It comes with all of the bolts, and even comes with all the washers, and then also comes with these spacers right here, which I'll show you how to install those here momentarily. It even came with some string, and I'll show you how to use that here in just a second as well. Some things that you'll need to complete this install are some masking tape, some soapy water, a T25 Torx bit, a T55 Torx bit, a 13mm socket, a 10mm socket, and a wrench. All right, so the very first step, go ahead and grab that masking tape that we talked about a little while ago, and go ahead and put a couple of pieces in between the gate and the body of the Jeep. So that way, whenever you take off the hinges, you know where it's lined up at. You won't have to do any readjusting later. All right, and next go ahead and grab that 13mm socket and your wrench. You may want an extension for this if you've got it. And go ahead and start taking out all the screws around the spare carrier. And if you have a drill or an impact, this would go a lot quicker. All right, so now that string that they include in the kit, go ahead and pull this tire carrier out of the way and kind of tie it up somewhere out of the way. I'm gonna try to tie it right here on the door handle. I may have to make an adjustment to it here momentarily. All right, now I've got the spare tire carrier pulled out of the way and tied to the door handle. I did make sure that there was enough slack in here so that way all of the weight from that spare carrier wasn't hanging directly on that cord. Next, grab your T55 Torx bit and your half drive wrench and go ahead and start on the hinge bolts. You may have to force them in there a little bit just because they are painted. And you'll probably want to start them by hand because with that paint, it might take a little bit to get it popped loose. There we go. Now we can start backing them out. How in the world am I bleeding? Okay, cool.
A few moments later.
All right, so once we have the T55 screws out of the hinge, I'm gonna grab the hinge reinforcement along with the 13mm bolts, the 4 washers that go with it, and then the 4 spacers. And then I'm going to start off on the top right corner, kind of put that bolt and washer there, and then I'm gonna slip this spacer right behind it. And I'm just gonna line it up and kind of get one of those started. I'm not gonna tighten it down all the way because I need to get the other 3 in. Okay, so obviously this kit did not come with any instructions from the manufacturer, so I am just kind of figuring out how to do it myself. Plus I did watch a couple of YouTube videos on the Mopar kit, and of course this Chinese knockoff or whatever you want to call it on how to do it. So this is probably the most tedious part, is just lining up these 4 bolts and then screwing them in, because you do have the bolt and washer on the front side, and there is a little spacer that has to go on the back side of it. And every time I was trying to line it up, the spacers kept falling out or the bolts kept backing up. So the best way that I found to do it was come over here with the bracket, stick the bolts in all of the holes before mounting it up, putting the spacer on the back side, and just kind of lining it up the best way you can, and then just kind of hand threading them in until you get them all started. Now that I've got it all, now that I've got all the bolts started, I'm going to go ahead and tighten everything down. All right, so now that the hinge reinforcement bracket is in place, I am going to go ahead and start remounting my spare tire carrier. So we're going to undo all that string that we used to tie it up with. And then using a couple of the, oop, I dropped it. All right, and then using a couple of the included 10mm bolts that come with it, I put a metal washer at the very bottom and then a plastic washer directly underneath that. And we're gonna try to line it up and get it started at least. Don't tighten it down all the way because you will have to put a spacer on the driver's side. Just enough to hold it in place here. Again, don't want to tighten it all the way down because we will have to move it some. But I also don't want this moving around a whole lot. So if you remember at the beginning of the video, I did point these guys out. This is a spacer that is going to go on the back side of the spare mount on the driver's side. So I'm going to grab a couple more of these 10mm bolts, throw a couple of washers on there, and then I'm going to kind of guide it in. All right, so now we're going to grab the one for the bottom and repeat that process. All right, so now that we've got the hinge gate reinforcement put on, we've got the spare tire carrier put on. Next, I am going to install these bump stop extensions. So I'm going to pull these out, pull them out on both sides, and I'm going to pop these in. All right, so take your soapy water, and I'm going to spray that stem down. Get some good soapy flow coming out of there. I'm just going to spray that stem down. That way we get a little bit of lubricant for this. And then just try to work that guy in best that we can. There we go. Cool, that worked. So I wanted to check just now on how to get these things in easy. There's a couple of different ways you can do it. I've seen some guys take the panel on the inside of the swing gate off so that way you can just pull it through on the other side. That would work. It is an extra step. You do risk breaking that panel or breaking some of the clips that go with it. And I don't have any extras and I don't want to take any chances. So what I found is I'm going to spray this stem down pretty good. Just get it nice and lubricated. And then I'm going to put the stem in, I'm actually gonna take my thumb, just kind of stick it right there in the center and just give it a good push and a few twists. And that'll cause that bump stop to seat right into place. So that's pretty much it for the installation of the hinge reinforcement kit. Again, I can't really tell the difference between this and the Mopar one, with the exception of the hex bolts. On the Mopar kit, they are Torx bit, not hex bolts, but that is really the biggest difference. I don't have a Jeep Performance badge on here yet. I do intend on getting one, or if any of you lovely viewers have one and you want to send it to me, just drop me a comment or send me a DM. I am going to take it one step further. I am prepping this for 35-inch tires. So what I am going to do is I'm going to go ahead and readjust this. So go ahead and grab that T25 Torx bit that I was telling you about from the beginning, and let's get this thing adjusted. So just a quick note here. If you are going to be raising this guy, I don't think it was necessarily intended to be raised from factory, but what I did find, if you go ahead and just loosen up all of those bolts that we just tightened down, just so that way you can pull this back out of the way some, you'll want to readjust this harness right here. So I pulled it out of its little groove down here, kind of fed it in a little bit more, loosened up those 4 T25 Torx screws, and then was able to raise this up 1 notch. And I mean, and that should give me about 1 inch to 1.5 inches of clearance for my 35-inch tires. So once you get this thing adjusted to where you need to go, I'm going to go ahead and start one of those T25 screws back in its hole. And we're going to tighten it down. And then in case I ever decide to go back down a tire size and I need to lower this thing, go ahead and take your remaining 2 T25 screws and then go ahead and put it in these holes that we now have created. You are just going to have a little blank space down here, but it's going to be covered up by the tire anyway. Well guys, thank you for stopping by and checking out this video. I will keep you guys updated on the quality of this thing. Again, $135 compared to $700 Mopar. Is it worth it? I guess we'll find out. In the meantime, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And remember to ride with integrity.